Thank you for joining us. We begin tonight with the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, which is debunked claim by the Minister of Health, Dr. Mohammed Pate, that the ongoing nationwide strike by the health workers has been called off. It was widely reported on Friday that the minister said the industrial action was put to bed after a closed-door meeting earlier in the day with the executive members of Nurses Association. Meanwhile, in different phone conversations with News Central by some heads of state chapters of the association, the claim was debunked. According to the officials, the minister cannot call off the strike. One of the officials wrote, quote, "The national leadership of the association has summoned all NEC members to an emergency meeting by 9 a.m. on Saturday morning for a briefing and necessary update. Until then, we can't say anything," end quote.
We have not called any strike off. Minister of Health, Dr. Pate, was not the one that called for this strike. He's not a member of our associations and he doesn't have that capacity to pronounce that, to make that particular pronouncement. So tomorrow we met with the federal government representative today and we have some kind of discussions and resolutions. Tomorrow, our associations at NEC level will have a meeting and we'll download everything, discuss with the federal government, we'll assess the situation. If all the resolutions made today is okay by the association, then we take a decision. If our members say no, that they are not okay with the resolution we made today, definitely the strike still continue. So, but for now, the strike is still on. We are still on strike. Nothing like nurses has called off the strike. We are still on strike until we send any directive that states otherwise from the State Administrative Council or National Administrative Council.
We're now joined by the Lagos State Chairman of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Christiana Adeboboye, and her FCT counterpart, Jama Maiden. Thank you very much for sparing the time to speak with us. Mr. Maiden, let's start with you. You were at that Friday's closed-door meeting. I mean, couldn't your association have countered the minister right after his presser saying that the strike had been suspended?
Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers. You know, the calling of strike has a procedure. The first thing, we had a meeting today, and the minister was there, plus other two ministers. We presented our demands to the minister, and minister also was able to, on behalf of the federal government, say this is what we can offer. And offering that, we are actually representing the union. So, and the decision for embarking on this strike was taken by the National Executive Council. So the procedure there is that the National Administrative Council that represented the union in that meeting has to go back and discuss it with the National Executive Council. This is what the federal government has offered in respect of our demands. And the decision will be taken.
Hello, Mr. Maiden. Okay, I think the network has interrupted. I'm just curious as to how they allowed the situation to continue before having to debunk the minister's statement. I don't know if we have Adeboboye with us. Okay, we'll try and come back to that conversation if we're able to reconnect with our guest. Apologize for the interruption. Let's go ahead. Okay, I understand we have reconnected with Mr. Maiden. If you can hear me, please acknowledge.
Yes, I can hear you very well.
All right, go ahead, conclude your thoughts. Because I was just wondering, perhaps before the internet cuts us off, You could also speak to some of, is the negotiation and conversation and consultation that went down, was it enough to indicate to the minister that, of course, at the end of the day, the NEC is still going to call off the strike? He just preempted things.
No, I cannot exactly preempt the decision of the National Executive Council at this point, but all I know is that we presented the demand of the NEC or the entire nurses in Nigeria to the government representative, and actually they have also offered what government can give. So we have to go back to the NEC and discuss it. So far we have presented your demand, and this is the offer from the federal government, and the decision will be taken at the NEC level.
What again were your demands, and which of them, if met, would allow you to at least suspend the strike pending further conversations?
Our demands were, you know, like I said somewhere, we are actually like marginalized. Like I mentioned, we were demanding for the creation of the Department of Nursing at the Federal Ministry of Health because we have about over 74 directors in the Federal Ministry of Health, and we constitute 60% of the total workforce. And the remaining 40% of the workforce has about 73 directors, and we that have the largest number, we have only one. That is why we now say the government should at least constitute or have a full-fledged directorate of nursing that will take care of the education system, that will take care of the clinical research and statistics and so on and so forth. We have the issue of gross shortage of manpower in the workplace, and that has led to a lot of excess burnout and people collapsing, dying on duties, and we felt we are not giving our Nigerians the best because we are short. And I keep on giving example. Many people have retired. Many people have left the service of JAPA. But the last recruitment that was done in most of these facilities, if you go around, you'll find out that most of them was since 2008, 2010, 2015. So for that is one of the demands. We are also asking for upward review of the nurses' allowances. We all agree that with the current economic hardship in the country, what we are being paid cannot take us anywhere. We can't use it to pay for our children's school fees. We can't pay for, we cannot pay our children's school fees. We can't pay accommodation. It can't take us. So because of that, we say there should be an upward review of nurses' allowances. Then apart from that, we are also demanding for the fair representation of the nurses at the policy-making level. You can see even from the ministry, what we were given is one director, and when they have a lot of meetings, she can't be there. So decisions are being taken, even those decisions that are peculiar to nursing department are being taken without involving us. But just like what is happening in National Hospital Abuja, we have the largest workforce, but even a directorate we don't have. We don't have a director at that level. We have director finance, director maintenance, accounts, and director clinical service.
It's quite a long list, Mr. Maiden. It's quite a long list you have for the government. I was hoping you could give us like a threshold of what are the key ones that perhaps if attended to, you will consider calling off the strike. Also, that's on the one hand. On the other side, there is a meeting tomorrow, your NEC emergency meeting. What is the most likely outcome from having that insider information? You were part of the delegation that met with the minister. Is there a follow-up meeting scheduled that might impact the decision of NEC tomorrow?
I still insist that I can't preempt the decision of the NEC tomorrow. But all I know is that the federal government has offered offer some of the distance. So, and we have presented the demands, and they have agreed to some terms.
There's another part of that question you can take on, Mr. Medin, and I'm asking if there is a follow-up meeting with the Minister of Health or government functionary after this meeting. Is there another meeting scheduled? Perhaps you can tell us that much.
Yes, definitely there's going to be, because in some of these things we have agreed that we are going to have a follow-up meeting after tomorrow's NEC.
All right, let's just let you go now and hope for the best, that the decisions from NEC and the submissions from the government will be enough to bring our nurses back to the hospital. And we appreciate the work that you do, Mr. Medin. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's listen in again to the conversation News Central had with one of the officials of the association earlier today.
I have not called any strike off. Minister of Health, Dr. Pate, was not the one that called for this strike. He's not a member of our associations, and he doesn't have that capacity to pronounce that, to make that particular pronouncement. So tomorrow we met with the federal government representative today, and we have some kind of discussions and resolutions. Tomorrow our associations at NEC level will have a meeting, and we'll download everything, discuss with the federal government, we'll assess the situation. If all the resolutions made today is okay by the association, then we take a decision. If our members say no, that they are not okay with the resolution we made today, definitely the strike will still continue. So, but for now, the strike is still on. We are still on strike. Nothing has called off the strike. We are still on strike until we send any directive that states otherwise from the State Administrative Council or National.
We do hope they come to a resolution soon. Coming up tonight, groups allege smear campaign against oil sector reforms. We'll tell you more about this and bring you more stories after the break. You're watching Tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. Striking Association of Nurses and Midwives debunks claim by Minister of Health that it called off ongoing nationwide exercise. Amnesty International accuses Nigeria of failure to dispense justice for victims of bad governance protest 1 year after. And President Donald Trump's tariff deadline unsettles global markets, with stocks taking hit as investors fret over cost of supply chains. Amnesty International says that 1 year after the Nigerian police used lethal force and carried out mass arbitrary arrests of peaceful and bad governance protesters, the authorities have failed to ensure justice for victims and survivors. The organization made this disclosure in a statement posted on its website and social media handles on Friday. The End Bad Governance protest began on August 1, 2024 and lasted for 10 days, ending on August 10, 2024. The protests were sparked by widespread discontent among Nigerians over various economic and governance issues. According to the Amnesty International's investigation, the Nigerian police killed at least 24 people between August 1 and 10, 2024 in Kano, Jigawa, Katsina, Borno, Niger, and Kaduna states. The National Economic Council has approved fresh funding for the National Emergency Management Agency and relevant ministries to enhance flood preparedness and disaster response ahead of 2025 rainy season. The resolution was reached during the NEC meeting presided over by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. News Center's State House correspondent Bettina Uweli reports.
With floods already ravaging several states like Adamawa, Borno, Niger, amongst others, the Council mandated urgent financial support for key federal ministries and agencies, as well as state and local emergency units to mitigate the effects of the flood. According to the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, the intervention will go beyond federal agencies to include support for the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory.
NEMA was advised to concentrate on strengthening of the state emergency management agencies and indeed establishing local emergency management committees, convening of emergency coordination fora, and activation, as I said earlier, of military, the police, NSDC, disaster relief units, and above all, some continuous engagement and communication, and taking the national preparedness and response campaign to all 36 states and the federal capital.
Speaking about the current economic reforms, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, says that the Council has approved ward development programs to ensure social protection at grassroots level.
NEC passed a resolution endorsing and supporting approving the Renewed Hope Ward Development Program as a collaborative undertaking between federal, state, and local governments, and the identification of the economically active individuals in the respective wards, as well as making the Federal Ministry of Budget and the Economic Planning the secretariat of the program.
The President's memo or proposal to us this afternoon was in sync with our thinking on how best to strengthen the economic activities at the world level. So the whole idea is to identify, at least in each electoral ward, 1,000 individuals to make them economically active. And once that is achieved, it will resonate all over. Because as I speak to you, you must have been told that we are earning more money as a result of these policies. These more monies come to states in form of allocation, also comes to local government to strengthen their legacy projects.
The Council's decision marks a push for stronger disaster response and grassroots development. With targeted support for states and communities already approved, the focus now shifts to timely implementation to effect real impact on citizens. In Abuja for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
Many thanks, Bettina. Two civil society groups in Abuja are alleging a coordinated smear campaign against the leadership of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. At a press conference in Abuja, the Coalition of Good Governance for Good Governance and Change Initiatives and the Human Rights Writers Association claimed that recent protests and media reports targeting NNPCL Group CEO Bayo Ojulari are part of efforts to derail ongoing reforms in the oil sector. They say that the appointment of Ojulari has led to internal audits aimed at checking corrupt practices and promoting transparency within the company.
Those who are not very comfortable that the new sheriff is in town will want to do what they can do to undermine the authority of the new official. We are here to say that it is wrong for people to gang up against him. We are also charging him to ensure that he makes that as a legacy that the president will deliver to the Nigerian people.
Mr. Ojulari has ended several shady deals with unqualified intermediaries and share entities used to siphon national resources. This alone has saved the country billions in prospective losses to the nation. Their major target, by sponsoring protests and media attacks on the leadership of the NNPCL.
Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State has advocated the establishment of state policing as one major means of curbing recurrent killings in some parts of the state. The governor made the call during a media parley with journalists at the government house in Jos, the state capital. News Central's Chizoba Anyowe tells us more.
For more than 2 decades, Plateau State has been grappling with security challenges, a tragic situation that had claimed hundreds of lives, including property. The current governor, Caleb Mutfwang, bears his mind on these killings and possible solutions.
Governor can give a directive and GOC or Commissioner of Police will not obey because he has to take permission from superiors in Abuja. Are you seeing the challenge? That's why I have consistently advocated state police. The argument that it will be misused, I think, is a lazy argument. It's an argument by those who are benefiting from the inefficiencies of the present arrangement.
The governor believes that Plateau is relatively safe among the states in the north-central geopolitical zone.
It's unfortunate that the security challenge has not abated as we had hoped. But one thing we have done is that sometimes it's difficult for people to appreciate what government has done when these killings continue. But I want you to know that if we hadn't done the much we have done, with the intelligence at our disposal, by now Plateau State would be a different place. There are so many details we cannot unveil, but I'm glad to tell you that, in fact, among the states in north-central Nigeria, the Plateau State is relatively safer than others.
As part of nation building, members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm must remain objective in their reportage for peaceful coexistence among the people of the state.
On behalf of all journalists of the Plateau, we pledge our readiness to partner with governments and all well-meaning organizations and individuals to restore the state what it has lost and to make and sustain gains on other fronts. We are deliberate in rewriting the Plateau story.
Commending journalists, the State Commissioner for Information, Joyce Ramnap, challenged them to always maintain a high level of professionalism. In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anyowe.
Still ahead, President Trump fires head of Bureau of Labor Statistics. We will tell you why when we come back. Glad you're still with us. Let's tell you now that President Bola Tinubu has met with digital media experts at the Progressive Digital Media Summit, which held at the State House in Abuja. The summit brought together media professionals, tech innovators, and policymakers to discuss the future of digital communication in Nigeria. The president, during his address, emphasized the role of the digital media in nation building, saying that technology should be embraced and not treated as a threat.
Your Excellency, it is a privilege to address you at this important digital media summit. The theme of this gathering, unveiling the central role of new media in national development, captures the spirit of our times and that of our nation. Across Nigeria, we are witnessing a surge of creativity and ambition as young Nigerians harness digital media to share their voices. So I challenge you to use your platforms not only for self-expression, anger, or retaliation, but for problem solving, to build solutions that addresses our nation's needs, to mentor others as we grow and to promote digital literacy and accountability in every corner of our society.
This summit is now more timely than ever, as those in opposition have forced a 2027 campaign on us and put the country in election mode well ahead of the INEC timetable. Our experience in 2023 and elections that we have seen in the USA, in Germany, in many parts of the world, they taught us a crucial lesson. Digital media are no more merely used for jokes, memes, or dancing. They are the battlegrounds where elections are won or lost, and we ignore them at our.
Let's go back now to one of our headline stories. We did tell you that Amnesty International says that 1 year after the Nigerian police used lethal force and carried out mass arbitrary arrest of peaceful and bad governance protesters, the authorities have failed to ensure justice for victims and survivors. We're now joined by legal practitioner Evan Sufeli to share his thoughts on Amnesty's reports. Thank you very much for being here. Let's start by asking that 1 year after, what would be the parameters with which we will be able to say justice has been served for victims of the protests?
Well, justice has not been served because 1 year later, Nigeria seems to have deteriorated much more than it were at the time the protest was organized. Okay? Let's even backtrack a bit. The End SARS protests, which happens to be the one before the End Bad Governance protests. Even after the ECOWAS court had given a judgment and declared that they were actually breach of human rights and had awarded certain damages against the federal government to be paid to victims of that protest. That issue is still lingering up until today. Now, for the End Bad Governance protest, the last one, the one that happened in August, wherein children were arrested, it took the intervention of the president to ask that they be released. But the violation of their rights, which is supposed to come with a certain level of compensation to assuage the violence and horrendous experience with trauma that the federal government wrought on these children, is left unattended. Now, one would have thought that because the federal government have not made any effort to address the state issue, it would have ensured that it puts the economy in order so that those who are so aggrieved by virtue of the bad shape of the economic condition of the country that led to the protest in the first place would have gotten some respite, because government would have responded rapidly to the economic condition and the status of the citizens of this country. One would have thought so, but no. We still see government involved in a lot of profligate activities as against the projects that should enhance the collective good of all. Okay? Nigeria has not changed one bit from the last time that protest was organized up until now. Rather, things are getting tighter and stiffer. Things are getting worse by the day. So this is to say that the federal government have learned no lesson whatsoever, and they have not done anything whatsoever to make a difference in the life of the citizens.
Oftentimes we do get a response from government on reports that are put out by Amnesty International. Sometimes they say it's an exacerbation or an exaggeration of what really went down. So I would want to ask your candid review or assessment of Amnesty's report 1 year after their comments about government's lack of accountability and justice for the victims.
Yes, Amnesty International have taken its time to audit the process, to audit what went down. And not just Amnesty International, civil society groups, I mean, human rights advocates, lawyers in the struggle for the liberation of the Nigerian citizens. We've all been on the field, okay, making critical audits of the situation. And from all indications, the results are the same. The government have not taken care of the issue in itself. So, so many persons who were incarcerated, who were kept in detention without trial, you know, some of them gained their freedom not too long ago. Some stayed in detention for 6 months, some for 4 months, some for 8 months. Okay? Right. And the story goes on. So it tells you that not only the government violating the rights of citizens, but there is continuous violation. Continuous violation.
Quite unfortunate.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate what seems to be a reality with protests in Nigeria. But we're hopeful that the right things will be done. Thank you very much for speaking with us. We appreciate your time. Away from our shores, Kenya's President William Ruto has commended the unification of peace initiatives addressing the conflict in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The new agreement merges efforts from major African continental groups, the East African Community, Southern African Development Community, and the African Union into a single African-led peace process. Speaking at a joint EAC-SADC summit in Nairobi, President Ruto said there is now one African-led process that brings all other initiatives, including those from Nairobi, Rwanda, and elsewhere, into one coherent response for the situation in Eastern DRC. U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered the immediate firing of Erica McTaffer, head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, following the release of a disappointing July jobs report. The report showed only 73,000 jobs were added last month, significantly less than expected, with downward reviews to May and June figures. Trump accused the head of manipulating data for political purposes without presenting evidence, and stated she would be replaced by someone more qualified. McTaffer, a Biden appointee, confirmed with bipartisan support, has not commented on the firing. Meanwhile, global markets continue to reel as U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff deadline came and went on Friday, bringing no relief to investors. Stocks around the world fell sharply amid fears that these new tariffs will further disrupt fragile global supply chains and cloud prospects for trade talks with China. Though investors had grown accustomed to Trump's repeated tariff threats, the actual imposition of broad new duties on imports from dozens of countries appears to be a stark wake-up call. The U.S. has imposed steep new tariffs, 35% on many goods from Canada, 50% from Brazil, 25% from India, 20% for Taiwan, and 39% for Switzerland.
Nigeria fell under the hammer once again as U.S. President Donald Trump hit a raft of African countries with a 15% import tariff following a sweeping executive order. The White House announced the modified reciprocal tariff rates on Thursday. Earlier in April, Trump had slammed sweeping tariffs on global trading partners, imposing 14% on Nigeria. The so-called reciprocal tariffs were later postponed for 90 days to allow for time to negotiate individual trade deals, with the deadline moved to August the 1st. Despite these extensions, most talks failed to produce new agreements, triggering the rollout of increased tariffs under Trump's revised global scheme. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, and key stakeholders have adopted new safety measures to curb petroleum tanker accidents. Following a meeting in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State, IPMAN chairman Oyewole Akoni announced limits on tanker capacity, banning loads above safe thresholds like 90,000 liters, which damage roads and cause instability. Tankers must now install safety covers to prevent fuel spillage during crashes. Night driving has also been banned from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. due to high accident risks from fatigue. Akoni emphasized the need for stricter enforcement, safety reforms, and public awareness to address systemic failures and fuel theft from foreign tankers. The federal government plans to boost Nigeria's crude oil output by 810,000 barrels per day through a deepwater cluster and nodal development initiative led by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC. Speaking in Abuja, NUPRC Chief Benga Komolafe noted that Nigeria's deepwater production has dropped below 500,000 barrels daily from 800,000 in 2016. With 5.13 billion barrels in untapped reserves, the initiative aims to revive offshore production, reduce costs, and improve OPEC Plus compliance. A dedicated NUPRC committee is expected to collaborate with oil producers to address infrastructure, funding, and regulatory hurdles, unlocking more value and optimizing underutilized FPSO assets. So stock markets now. The Nigerian equities market extended its bullish run for a 10th consecutive week, buoyed by strong H1 2025 earnings, solid corporate fundamentals, and attractive dividend yields. At the just concluded week, the NGX All-Share Index rose 5.07% week-on-week to a new all-time high, while market capitalization gained 5.08%. Month-to-date and year-to-date returns settled at 1% and 37.2% respectively. Well, today is the 1st of August, so that 1% actually talks about today. Month-to-date, you have 1%. All-Share Index, a high, I must say, 141,263.05, and market capitalization 89.37 trillion. Now, all of this speaks to today. And now let's take a look at, beg your pardon, we just talked about the snapshots. Now looking at the numbers, and we can see that Boa Cement, Boa Food, and MTN drove what happened right there. And now for sectoral performance, coming back to the banking sector, we can see that the banking sector is up 52 basis points. And for First Holdco, to a very large extent, it was able to, come back. Yes, that was what happened. It clawed back some of yesterday's losses. GTCO actually continues its struggle to maintain a push above the 100 naira level. For insurance, it's down 29 basis points. Oil and gas is also down 1.73%. And for oil and gas, Owando actually lost 10% today. So you can blame that for what we're seeing in the oil and gas sector. Consumer goods is up 161 basis points. And you have industrial goods also up 349 basis points. That's the top performer also for today. It's the first day in August, the first trading day, and we see industrial goods coming out very strong because it was also the best performer in the month of July. And now it's a wrap on Business Tonight. I am Perpetua Fasamipita. Tonight continues.
Day one of the 2025 AFN National Trials at Yabatech, Lagos opened with standout performances across multiple events as athletes battled for spots on the Nigerian team to next month's World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. Comfort James claimed her fourth women's 800 meters national title, clocking 2 minutes 6.06 seconds to hold off NCAA standouts Ramajimo El Israel. Israel Okon ran a new personal best of 10.03 seconds, the fastest time in the men's 100 meters heats. Koinsola Ajayi, who is favored to win the national title, dominated heat 1, clocking 10.05 seconds. In the field events, African record holder Chioma Onyekwere Lions defended her women's discus title with a 60.76 meters throw, narrowly beating close friend Obiageli Amechi, who recorded a distance 59.3 meters. In the men's high jump, CAA under-20 champion claimed top spot with a 2.05 mark, while Olympian Shade Olatoyi delivered a dominant performance in the women's hammer throw with a distance of 67.50 meters.
Pretty good, actually. A few weeks ago, I had a season's best of 70.27. I had 3 meets, over 69 meters within a 2-week period. So everything's been consistently rounding up towards the time that it needs to. So I'm happy how the progress is going.
I'm really happy with the consistent season I've been having.
Fresh from their participation at the 2025 Giants of Africa Festival in Kigali, Rwanda, Team Nigeria paid a courtesy visit to the Nigerian High Commission. The girls' team finished in 3rd place after narrowly missing out on a spot in the final with a semi-final loss to Mali, while the boys' team finished in 9th place. Nigerian High Commissioner to Rwanda, Ibrahim Zana, commended the team's performance, stating it reflected the true Nigerian spirit of resilience and the drive to succeed at every opportunity. Super Eagles head coach Eric Shell has defended his selection for the 2024 African Nations Championship, insisting all players were chosen based on form, commitment, and tactical suitability. Shell is aiming to deliver Nigeria's first CHAN title and has urged fans to back the team as they begin their campaign. The home-based Eagles had a recovery and light training session on Friday evening as preparations intensify for the opening game against Senegal on Tuesday, August 5th. The CHAN tournament, which features only players active in domestic leagues, is being hosted across Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. It begins tomorrow with the opening match between Tanzania and Burkina Faso.
And straight to entertainment. It's all about new music today because Rema is back and he's not playing around. His brand new single, Kelebu, recently dropped and it's already got social media in a frenzy. The song is a mashup of Afrobeat, trap, and electronic vibes. Basically, it's Rema's way of, doing what Rema does best. Now, blending genres and keeping it fresh all the time. It also comes with a vibrant music video and a dance challenge that is blowing up TikTok and Instagram. And there's a juicy prize to it, $10,000 up for grabs for the best dance video. Rema is clearly aiming for global domination, and Kelebu is the newest banger. Felicity, what do you think? He put out $10,000 for the best video on social media, and if you see what is happening on social media.
I wish I can dance. I will try my hand. I'm sure I will train because people will be curious as to how this one shake body.
But yeah, it's fun. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Now, let's talk about another legend, as Divanj is proving once again that he's not just a legend, he's still got the magic. Now, after 2 decades in the game, the Coco Master returns with Tobari, a fresh, high-energy single featuring South African's DJ Maphorisa and Nigeria's DJ Obi. The track blends the band's signature charisma with a modern Afrobeat sound, showing he's evolving while staying true to his roots. Now, following his recent album, The Entertainer, the sequel, the band reminds us he's not just here for nostalgia, but he's here to make sure that he makes that bold statement. Now, the veteran is still relevant, he's still hungry, and still raising the bar. Felicity, the Coco Master, dropped the banger for people. And people say, well, yeah, he's a veteran, but he still has that touch of the Gen Zs. What do you think?
Yeah. I'm the bunch.
Well, okay, well, you're Felicity. However, that's all we have in entertainment tonight, by the way.
And that's all the news we have for you tonight. But before we go, a reminder of our top stories. A striking Association of Nurses and Midwives debunk claim by Minister of Health that it called off ongoing nationwide exercise. Amnesty International accuses Nigeria of failure to dispense justice for victims of NVAT governance protests 1 year after. We also told you that President Donald Trump's tariff deadline has unsettled global markets, with stocks taking hit as investors fret over cost of supply chains. Do send us your eyewitness report to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on social media at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.